F122 could have a big problem here. Gran Turismo 7 have just done something incredible. It's this, the first official esports championship in GT7 is in F1 cars, run by a Toyota this round at Spa in F1 cars. That is a real kind of signal that GT7 are sending to F122. Now, how was this event? Well, you're going to find out in this video. Now, what I want you to bear in mind is, if you're someone who's thinking about dropping £70 on F122 and you already have Gran Turismo 7, or you could get Gran Turismo 7, have a look at the racing in this video and just think, if you want to race in F1 cars, in F1 liveries against other drivers who are big fans of F1, do you need to be spending £70 on F122 to be doing like the My Life thing and showing off your accessories and your clothing, or do you just want to race? Let's get into it. Now, the summary of qualifying is we're going to qualify in P9 in a very, very, very good split in the esports championship. This is like the 0.something% of drivers in the whole of the game. It is right at the top. It's not the top split, but it's right at the top of the game. So I can't be too disappointed with P9 out of 16 drivers. And being about a second off the pole time means that over an 8-lap race at Spa, we're not going to be more than 10 seconds behind if we're able to maintain that pace. So I'm feeling really positive at this stage. There's going to be huge points on the table here for the esports championship. I haven't had any practice. Every lap in quali I was getting better. And we're starting P9. Anything can happen at a grid start here. Let's go to the grid. So Martin Brundle's just on his grid walk, and I think this is another area where F122 has a problem. Because in Gran Turismo, you can run any livery on your car that you want, and that means you get these classic liveries alongside the new ones, and that's because the Gran Turismo 7 livery editor is like one of the best in the world at just making liveries. It is so, so, so good. Some incredible liveries. Here we are in P9. Let's get to the green lights. So remember, as you're watching this video, have a think, is this racing good? Is it exhilarating? Is it challenging? As an F1 fan, does it give you your fix of F1 racing? Because if it does, then F122 has a problem, because GT7 could be the home of F1. Right, we're going to sweep across the Renault driver here, going into last source. It's all going to kick off. All going to kick off. I just wanted to keep it in the middle of everyone. You can have a look at the radar on the bottom right. Just trying to avoid it all. Goes all very ace combat on the radar. Somehow we make out alive, but now we've got to sort ourselves out before we go up Eau Rouge. What is going to happen? I've got to calm out, so I'm going to keep my foot in it. And we just cleared that car, so a little bit of commitment just made us get through. And you can see how many penalties are there in the cars ahead. I think it's almost rolling with a 12-second penalty. So just by keeping it clean and sensible, we did okay. Now, Lecumbe, the cars are fueling. They're going to be heavy. People are going to outbrake themselves. There we go. I brake a little bit early. We're going to try and go around the outside of that car there. Someone's on ghosting, sticking it. Can we go up the inside of the Greek driver? No, we can't. But just trying to stick to the inside. A little bit of contact behind us. And now we're going to go into this kind of long anti-cambered hairpin here, just leaping up the inside. I think a little bit of side-to-side contact. The Greek driver's got a 5-second penalty. So we started in P9. We're only in P8 now, but realistically, we might be gaining a lot of positions here just by keeping it clean. Looks like the Greek driver here might have a bit of damage, so he's going to drop back a little bit. We just sweep up the inside of P1. Pretty nice line. The French driver goes wide there, so we'll try and go round the outside of him. That was a bit sketchy. Could have lost the back end around. This is very, very... I can tell you at the time, my heart rate was going through the roof, and I was absolutely loving it. I'm a massive F1 fan. I'm going to be at Catalonia next week for F1. I'm going to be at Monaco the weekend after as well. So if you've got any questions for me, stuff you want me to do at the F1 races, let me know in the comments. And if you want to see more F1 content, please do like and subscribe. Let me know, because I'm all over that. I absolutely love F1. I probably neglect... Well, look at this! We're up to P3 just by keeping it clean. So there's going to be some very fast drivers behind us who are really out-qualified us. But just by keeping it clean, we've leapfrogged them now. But we've got to watch out for them coming back. But now the tables have really... The whole dynamic of the race has changed. We're in P3. 3.5 seconds off the leader. We're behind another Greek driver here. There's a whole gaggle of cars behind. No doubt really fast drivers in there. But can we kind of move forward here? Now, there's a bit of a quirk in this race. So I'm not sure if this is how Toyota designed it, but it's what they did. You see the overtake button, the kind of KERS equivalent. When that depletes, it will completely refill in about 1 lap's time. So everyone in this race, because it's the pretty high split, everyone knows about this. Everyone is going to be deploying that KERS all the time. So it's going to be a very, 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 very fast race. See the gap now kind of stabilising 7/10 of the Greek driver and about 2 seconds of the French driver behind. So we'll keep an eye on the margins of the French guy behind. If you remember, we overtook him around the outside after Pouon, so he was quite high up the grid. But obviously had a moment there. He's managed to come back through. But yeah, never give up as well. I mean, like, how many people watching this, speaking directly to you, you the person watching this. You know, how many times have you done a race in a video game or qualifying or something and you've been slow and you've been near the back or you've been, you know, at the back of the midfield and it gets you down? Well, I was at the back of the grid for quali really. I was P9, was nowhere near the front, but, you know, my mentality was, well, you know, even if I was to be that much slower every lap, I wouldn't be that far behind at the end of the race. So that mentality, I think, is a positive one. But everyone rolls in their own way. Everyone has their different ways of trying to get performance out of themselves. So that's just the way I do it. But you can see here, starting in P9, we're now up into P3. Never, never, never give up is my mentality. And that gap to the Greek driver is still pretty stable. So less than a second. Now you do get quite a bit of dirty air in Gran Turismo 7 in these kind of high downforce cars. So the Group 2 cars, the Group 1 cars, and especially the F1 cars. And you really, really notice it. So if we were to go into Lacoum quite close behind the Greek driver, we would really struggle to find that apex. But on the whole, Gran Turismo 7 is a lot more simplistic and accessible in the way that you interact with the cars and the cars around you. By that I mean that the curves here is really simple. It's one button. The dirty air is quite simple. The slipstream way it works is quite simple. And what I think that allows us to do is really get to the racing. And F1 22, F1 12, I know F1 21 could be a little bit complicated. There are pros and cons there. That's just a different way that Gran Turismo 7 does it. But I would say this race is an esports championship available to absolutely everybody, free to enter. If you know, I think finish in the top 32 in your region, I think you're going to go to a televised final and they'll fly you there and there's hotels and there's prizes and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Gran Turismo is a behemoth. They're partnered with Toyota on this. They can do that kind of stuff. Obviously F1 has its own esports series, but it feels a little bit more kind of, I don't want to say elitist, but harder to break into. Whereas Gran Turismo 7, if you just happen to be absolutely rapid in the game and you're sat at home on your PS4 and a DS4 controller, there's absolutely nothing stopping you from going through a World Series event, which I think is a great thing. So let's take stock of the race. We're at lap 3, so about to go into lap 4, and the Greek driver ahead is slightly getting away, but we've just got our overtake back. If you've been tracking the overtake, you'll see that we lost it and now we've got it back. So we might be having a slightly different kind of syncing with our overtake than the other drivers around us. I'm just basically going to hammer it. I'm not using it in the most optimal positions. I'm just using it absolutely everywhere. It was absolutely killing my hand. I mapped the overtake button to the A button on my wheel, and to shift up with it and press at the same time was killing my hand, but it's just something I needed to do. We really caught up there. I think I was really getting the hang of that last chicane and the exit onto the home straight. So I'm thinking this could be a great platform to attack, not into La Source here. You can get around La Source and get a good slipstream up Eau Rouge. Then the Kemmel Straight is a fantastic place to try and overtake. We might be able to have an opportunity here. 5/10 is a lot of overtake. Let's keep an eye on this. Look at the gap. Look at the delta in the top left. We're going to be catching him. Which way are we going to go? Left or right? See where he is? He's kind of in the middle. I go right. He moves across. Ooh. Now, I'm not going to throw my arms up in the air and cry about that. He's entitled to make a move. It is what it is. So we're going to move on. And just bear in mind that he's keen to get defensive, which is absolutely fine. That's what I would do. So we need to think about where we're going to overtake him. Now, that was a opportune moment for us with the overtake, because the overtake is starting to deplete now. So I'm thinking what we'll do is get rid of the rest of the overtake, try and follow the Greek driver, maybe just drop back a little bit so we're not quite in the dirty air, but stay ahead of the Frenchman behind, and then this overtake will replenish in a lap's time, and then we'll be able to really go for it. I feel like if I was going to do that again on the Kemmel Straight, I would make my move a lot earlier. That would force him to defend earlier, and then we could really see if he's going to be double moving and stuff like that. So a puff of smoke there, might be some brake dust, and worth keeping an eye on the leader, by the way, in this race, because 4.5 seconds ahead at the moment of us. But can we close in on him? Which, I'll tell you what, when I was on the starting grid for this race, in my Ferrari in P9, I was not thinking about challenging for the win. 100%. I was not really thinking past the first corner. And sometimes that's just the way it goes. But right now, as it stands, we're provisionally on the podium. Absolutely mental. Absolutely mental. That's what I love about racing. Really catching up again with the Greek driver here, but we've got no boost this time. So it'll be interesting to see what the difference is going up Eau Rouge and onto the Kemmel Straight with no boost. Now you can see we set the fastest lap of the race. We were using heavy boost right in slipstream, but what a turnaround that is, isn't it? from quali being absolutely nowhere, 1.3 seconds off pole I think we were in quali, to now setting the fast lap in the race, and that's just, I think, having a good mentality. And if you want to see more racing on the channel, if you really want to be part of this community and grow this channel, if you're already subscribed, I appreciate you so much. If you're not subscribed, please, please, please hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments that you subscribe so I can welcome you to the community. I'm just a guy racing in my spare time, but I just absolutely love racing, whether it's karting in real life, F1, watching F1, racing GT7, ACC, iRacing. This is my passion. So if you're getting interested in racing as well, welcome to the community. Right, here we go. Going around this hairpin here, and you can see that the gap is not really stretching away. So even though we've got no overtake, the Greek driver isn't able to really make a big getaway from us. He's kind of eked out a few tenths, not too much. P1 is so incredibly sketchy. That was actually quite a nice way of taking it, I think. But it's a very, very, very sketchy corner in these cars. I can imagine in real life, the way the wind is blowing there must be absolutely terrifying. If you get a crosswind that you weren't expecting, as you turn in, you're asking so much of the aerodynamics of the car to give you that cornering grip. It really is a sensational corner. And yeah, the boost is back. Boost is back. Right, so we've got a whole can of boost. We're 1.5 seconds behind. So as the kind of strategies have synced and unsynced, so probably the Greek driver has been using his boost, I'm now coming into my full boost. So we're going to be boosting all the way into the bus stop here, down the home straight, and then we're going to boost all the way from La Source pretty much up Eau Rouge into Les Combes. That is going to be a lot of boost usage. That gap came down to 1.2, but I didn't get the best exit at 1.3. Let's see how we do at the bus stop. The laps are ticking by. Only 3 laps to go, everyone, before the end of this race. There are huge points north for this esports championship, by the way. Like, genuinely big points in this race. This is a very, very, very good split right at the top of the game. I'm very lucky and privileged to be in here. Right, so we're going to be smashing that overtake. Are we going to keep our foot in it? Yes, we do. Will we keep our thumb in it going up Eau Rouge? It was absolutely killing me, but it's worth it. 9 tenths is the gap. Look at the gap to the leader, everyone. Less than 3 seconds now. Less than 3 seconds to the leader. Wow. And we go purple again. The Greek driver ahead, he took purple last lap, so probably he was using boost last lap. This might mean that he doesn't have boost this lap. The gap has come down to around 7 tenths. And you can see we've got half of the boost left, so potentially I'm already thinking, can we line something up into the bus stop? Such an interesting braking zone. You can really try and slide up the inside very late if you dare. French driver behind, still no threat to us, but he's hanging around, so he is applying pressure to us. But we don't have to worry about him directly at the moment. Keep an eye on the Greek driver. He took P1 quite nice at that time. But the leader, I think he's the German guy in a Ferrari, he is really dropping back. He's only about 1.5 seconds now behind the Greek driver. So, dare I say, we should be thinking about the win. We just got to adapt. We didn't come in here trying to win it. Oh, the Greek driver's had a big moment. He's off. He's off. The Greek driver's off. We're going to get P2. I'm losing my voice. I need to get some water. Right, I got some water. I got so excited I lost my voice. The Greek driver's off. Oh, my word. He was riding that curb, such a sketchy curb. We've all been there. And somehow we are in P2 in this race. How is this going to work? So I remember thinking, stick to the plan. Let's get rid of the boost now. And that will mean that it will replenish. And at some point in lap 8, in the last lap, we'll get that boost and we'll have a whole lap of boost to try and catch this guy. So I need to be absolutely on this lap. I need to drive the best I've ever driven in this lap. Let's see how we do. Boost is gone. So 1.6 second gap to the leader. He's been dropping back. Maybe he's just got out of the groove. It's a very mentally demanding race, this one. It's like you're driving in fast forward. The grip levels are abnormally high compared to like GT3 and GT4 cars. So I don't blame him if he's dropping back. I think I'm fatiguing as well. But I've really just got to push through. We go purple there by quite a significant amount, although the cars are getting lighter. But at that time we were fastest man on the track, I believe. 1.6 seconds to the German. 1 and about half a lap to go round the hairpin. I remember here thinking, right, it's getting away. I'm not convinced we're going to be able to do this. He's stretching the gap out to 2 seconds. We slide a little bit through No Name. And he's probably got the boost at the moment, I imagine. But remember, that will mean that if he's using his boost now, he won't have it till on the last lap. It's very, very, very tactical and strategic, I think, with the boost in this race. 2 seconds now is the gap. Now, we can't really afford to let that get any further because to catch 2 seconds on him in the last lap is going to be very difficult. Have a look at that overtake icon in the bottom right. We need that boost to come back. I think it was about the home straight, wasn't it, where we depleted it. So hopefully we're going to get a full lap of boost. The gap is over 2 seconds now. Over 2 seconds. It's not looking good, but anything can happen. And we're on a massive high here. I mean, like, we've, you know, when you're in this position, I've been like this in karting as well in real life. When you've massively exceeded your initial expectations, you feel freed of any pressure. And you can see here my exit there in second gear, absolutely no wheel spin. Really, really nice and solid exit. And now we're going to get the boost on the line. So we're going to get a whole lap of boost here. Have a look at that gap. How is it going to do? Up into second gear here. Nice nose on the throttle. I really, really, really nailed that. Driving very well at the moment for me. And it's a great feeling, really, to kind of have progressed and feel in the zone, feel at one with the car. That gap is coming down massively. It was 2.1. It's now 1.6. That's half a second already. 1.5 seconds. Where is it going to be at the end of the Kemmel Straight? How quickly can we get this down to just a second? You can see my last lap was a second slower as we had no boost. So if he's going to be a second slower this lap with no boost, it really is anybody's game. It would be a sensational victory. It'd be one that I'd remember for a long, 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 long time. I can tell you, I'd still remember my FIA wins in GT Sport, in the Audi TT, in the Audi R8. Some great wins. Like, this is a proper esports championship, and I absolutely love it. It's so accessible. Like, anyone with a pad, anyone with a, you know, when GT7 goes on sale, a cheap copy GT7, we can race each other. It is so accessible. That's why GT will always have a very special place in my heart. 1 second is the gap, and we still got half of our can of boost. Oh my word, how is this going to go? If you have enjoyed this video, by the way, like I said, please, please, please do hit the subscribe button. I love making these videos in my spare time, and you are the only people that can grow this community, this channel. I massively appreciate you. We go purple there. We go purple. Oh my word, this. We got the boost, we got the run. Should we do a late dive? Should we just go for it? Should we do the Hail Mary? We're a long way back, but we're a lot faster. I'm thinking about it. I'm just gonna put my nose up the inside, just see what happens. Shape up in case of pressure, but he takes a very cool and collected line there. And now it comes down to the last corner, so it is going to be a P2. But I will take that. I will take that. This really, in my view, was an absolutely phenomenal race in Formula 1 cars in Gran Turismo 7. I don't feel any need, really, at this moment. After that race, I didn't feel any need to buy F122. So let me know what you think about that in the comments. Because I'm sure things will change when the marketing will spool up and, you know, all the official licenses. But at the core of it, I would love it if Gran Turismo 7 had like a weekly F1 championship, or had a daily race that's in the F1 cars. Maybe hourly. And bring in the dynamic weather. Remember, we can go to Suzuka, we can go to Catalonia, we can go to Spa, we can go to these real-world F1 circuits, and we can go to other circuits as well. We can go to circuits that, you know, F1 cars haven't been to for a long time, like Autopolis. And we can have the dynamic weather as well. We can have the rain. You know, there's so many possibilities. If they really... Gran Turismo 7, guys, if you're watching, let me curate some racing in Formula 1 cars. I'm sure we could do some incredible combos. Or just sort out the lobbies so we can do it in lobbies. But there we go. Those are my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to put some other videos on the screen now. If you want to see some more racing from me or people in this community, go check out these videos. It's been great having you on board for this video. That is going to be a P2 for us. I am absolutely delighted with that. It's mega, mega, mega points. And I really enjoyed that. F1 could be huge in GT7. I hope you agree. And if you don't agree, that's perfectly valid as well. Let us know why. I'll see you next time.